KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Wildfires are an ever-present threat in Colorado. But there's a piece of technology that could help spot a blaze before it spreads. Cameras equipped with artificial intelligence can detect smoke in the air, even in remote areas, and alert firefighters nearby. This makes AI cameras a valuable tool for the few fire departments that already use them. But the cameras are expensive. Each one costs about $50,000 per year. And so far, Colorado lawmakers have been hesitant to fund wider use of the cameras. Aspen Fire Chief Rick Ballantyne began using the cameras 4 years ago after a donor supplied money to buy them. There are now 9 of these cameras in the surrounding Roaring Fork Valley. And Rick thinks Colorado firefighters should be using more of them. State legislators are considering a bill that would pay for more of these cameras throughout the state. I asked Rick to explain how the technology works, starting from the moment when a camera thinks it might have spotted a plume of smoke in the distance.
The AI picks up smoke, determines if it's smoke, sends it to a human being on the ground in California. They look at it to determine if it looks like it's going to be a real fire or it's just dust or something.
It's interesting. So the AI component is kind of like an initial detection, but then it actually goes to a human to determine if this is something that needs to be acted upon.
That's correct, yeah. It kind of deciphers if it's really smoke or not. So in the beginning, it hadn't immediately been trained to our environment here. Mm-hmm. So it picked up, like, when the colors started changing on the trees, it thought it was fire.
Wow.
Because it didn't understand what that was doing. And it actually picked up snowmaking machines. So since then, the last several years, we've helped train the AI to what it is today.
We know spotting a wildfire as early as possible is critical. Firefighters already have a few time-tested methods. They rely on satellite imagery or, human fire spotters and lookout towers. What do you think makes AI cameras worth bringing into the field?
Well, it's more or less a smoke detector in the sky is the way I looked at it. In fact, my wife helped pin that particular quote. But
it's fantastic.
She doesn't like me to say that. But I'll tell you, the human fire spotters, the old days, they had the watchtowers. Those are all but gone. And that, and it took human resources to get there. The artificial intelligence cameras, they're 24/7, 365. Mm-hmm. They never get tired. They don't take breaks. It's a pretty invaluable tool that we've got in our toolbox now that I feel every fire department, and not just our state, but the whole West, should have this available to them.
It seems like this would be especially useful in a mountainous region like Aspen. How have the cameras helped you in this type of, rugged environment?
Well, especially in the backcountry, there's no cell phone service.
Sure.
We get these alerts and we can look and see what's going on. It's going to make us more apt to be able to catch these fires before they get big.
You've had AI cameras around Aspen since 2021. Could you talk about how helpful are the cameras engaging the intensity of a blaze and helping you decide how many crews need to respond?
Well, number one, if we can get 2 cameras, they pick up the smoke. It's helped us with being able to not have to send our firefighters. If you see smoke on the ground, you're not really sure what it is. Saved us from having to put our boots in the ground, hiking up dangerous areas to get to a fire to just check it out.
Sure.
We can literally see what it's going to be. What color the smoke is important. How big the smoke plume is important. We can judge all that without ever leaving our desk. It's incredible.
New technology can be exciting, but it's also daunting for people. Rick, how enthusiastic have other fire chiefs been to try them out once you have talked about your experiences with these cameras?
That's a good question. When we first started with these cameras, I really got quite a bit of pushback. Why are we spending money on it? Why are you guys wasting money on this? We've been doing this way for all these years. And so I got a little bit of a pushback, but it's really proven itself across the valley now. All the other fire departments in the valley now have access to these cameras. What's really been great is we can share the access to these cameras to all of our partner agencies, including the feds, including the state. They can actually get access to these as well, so they can actually check it out as well.
Huh.
But now I noticed after we got ours up, after the community saw how successful they are, other communities go, why don't we have these? We should have these cameras.
This technology sounds enormously helpful, but it's also expensive. There's a bill now at the state capitol that would allocate funding for more of these cameras. Similar bills to fund these cameras have failed in recent years. What have discussions been like with lawmakers this time around?
Well, interesting enough, I was asked to testify at a Senate hearing a couple of weeks ago, and it seemed like most of the senators there were really, really involved and really were a part of the discussion to find out more about it. All I can say is Colorado, and not just Colorado, the whole Western United States and others, spend a lot of money to fight fires. They spend a lot of money on response. I think if just a fraction of what we spend on response could be put towards mitigation and early detection, it would save millions and millions of dollars to the state of Colorado to stop fires before they get big.
In recent years, it feels like lawmakers have opted to fund satellite monitoring and aircraft that spot and map wildfires. Aren't these methods effective?
Well, there's not just one item that you should be looking at. You should be looking at a cadre of tools, and early detection is just one of them. Satellites is another one. The helicopters are great. They do tracking, do mapping, which is all great. But again, it's having a cadre of many different tools in your toolbox. The early detection cameras, we can detect stuff when there's cloud cover above us, above the cameras. It can pick up smoke where satellites sometimes can't do that.
Oh, wow.
And even aircraft flying over, if it's a big cloud cover, it won't be able to detect as much as we can get on our cameras.
We've heard lots of concerns recently about rising home insurance costs and fears that natural disasters will make some homes in Colorado uninsurable. How did those fears play into your push for more of these cameras?
That's really something very close to my heart. We have now proven that it really can prevent fires from getting big. It would hopefully save them millions and millions of dollars in losses in homes that are lost. So I think it's moving. I think it's moving the needle. I feel more positive right now today than I ever have about that.
What would you like lawmakers to know about your perspective and your experience as fire chief in Colorado's mountains?
Sure. Well, I would like them to know that this is a technology they really should take seriously. I think it can save our taxpayers in the long run a lot of money if we can prevent fires from getting larger before they become mega fires. I believe wholeheartedly, this is one of my first conversations I had as well, that it shouldn't just be resort communities that may have the funding to be able to afford these cameras to put them up. It should be statewide.
Rick Ballantyne is the Aspen Fire Chief. About that bill that would fund the cameras, lawmakers who oppose it are primarily concerned about the cost, which would be $1 million in the first year and $2 million a year after that. Some have also cited privacy issues and a lack of concrete data about the technology's effectiveness in preventing large wildfires. You can read more about the bill and about the cameras in our show notes and at KUNC.org. By the way, we publish all of our interviews as podcasts. So if you missed our recent conversation about a plan to haul solar energy by train or a look at a festival devoted to some unique birds, you can hear all of our interviews at KUNC.org or wherever you get podcasts. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.